Dr. Jeanne Morris is living Black history. You may not know her by name, but she's been making big changes in Central Illinois since the 60s. Here's our conversation. So let's start at when you first arrived in Bloomington Normal area. Was that 1966?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit what that was like.
Well, of course, we came and had to find housing, and that was a difficult situation. We hadn't been married that long, but it seemed like a nice place to be. The neighborhoods looked nice, and children adaptable, so we thought this would be fun.
Education was your passion. You knew that when you were in school. What led you down that path? What made you want to get involved in education?
My mother.
And tell us a little bit about her, because she's got an amazing story of her own.
Yes. Well, she was a leader of education for Negroes in the South, and particularly for the young children coming through. She had gone to Avery Institute, which was a Quaker training school for teachers, African American teachers. And as my brother and I, who were born in Mount Pleasant, grew older, we were sent to that school because we wanted to get the same kind of training that my mother had had.
So she knew that that was important, and that kind of was instilled in you.
Yes.
What did your mom teach you about education? What was it?
Get it right.
What was it about that I don't know, seemed like the right ticket or the right move or right opportunity, but what was it about education that your mom instilled in you?
Well, it's what she's telling all the children is that the more you learn, the better you are, because your whole being profits from what your education can bring you, you know. And so she said to us, when she said to her kids in school, learn this so you can read. And you can read what you need to read.
And that legacy continues on because there's a community center that's in your mother's honor. The school room where she taught is now a museum. So that legacy is still there.
Yes.
All right. So here we are. You've moved to Bloomington. Your husband, tell us a little bit about him. He was a mathematician or a professor of math?
Well, we both went to, because this is the only schools we go to historically, Black institutions. I went to Spelman, which is the companion to Morehouse College, which is the male school. My brother went to Morehouse, and so I followed and I went to Spelman. He went to Hampton.
Now, how long were you guys a couple before you got married? Were you dating a long time? Did you date all the way through college?
No, we went, I live at Westminster. Well, we met at a place just like that, which was owned by the principal at a southern high school. And they owned this place in New Hampshire. And they would hire kids from the traditional Negro colleges to come up and work in the summer. And we met up there. And of course, I was a music major, and Charles had a beautiful voice. So we got together with music, so we would go all through the town singing and showing off. He had a beautiful voice. And so I spent 3 summers up there, and I think he spent 4. It was a great life. Some of it was difficult, but we were happy that we worked together to accomplish most things. And we had 2 lovely children, and we worked to bring them up in good environments and see that they got the best.
So let's cut back to the 60s. I read that you were instrumental in helping Black students find off-campus housing at a time where it was not readily available to Black students. And
well, it wasn't even available on ISU campus.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the history and how you came to get involved.
Well, there were several people with whom we connected that had the same feelings that we have. And we bought houses with this group of friends from Bloomington, Illinois. white friends. And we rented to students. And I became kind of like the house mother. But it was a good feeling because you had somebody that needed help and you could give them help, and they were trying their best, because at the time that we did that, Black students couldn't stay on campus at all.
Oh, they couldn't stay on campus. So if I'm a student in Bloomington, let's say I didn't live here. I mean,
You had to have housing somewhere.
Interesting. Or
And it was
commute.
very limited. Very limited. Yeah.
Wow. And so doing that sort of group economics, you guys were able to put together some money, buy houses, and that is how Black students began to find housing on campus.
And then the housing, then of course Charles being at the university, he worked on it from that point, so it opened up too.
So when you first got here, the civil rights movement was still kind of in its infancy. Did you feel that? Could you feel, aside from the housing, but just with your white co-workers, counterparts, did it feel like the civil rights movement was still hot, still brewing, still
trying? Still trying. Yes, because it was that way in the stores. You had to wait to get served. But I felt that change was coming. And you can't, sometimes, some change has to be forced and some has to be tolerated until the time is right.
You played a big role in developing early childhood education. Does that harken back to your mom and your days in South Carolina, or where did your inspiration come to work with the littlest students?
From the University of Illinois, where I went to, where we were in school over there, Lillian Katz and Bernard Spodak, and the main leaders of early childhood education in the country were there. And they talked all about the hope of the world and young children.
And it was something about having a hand in that influence that was going to shape future generations?
Yes.
What did that feel like? Because I'm sure at the time it felt very different. Like, I think of Ruby Bridges. That first day had to have been terrifying, but now when she looks back at pictures of herself, there's got to be an immense pride. Wow, I did that. I was part of that. I was one of the first. So do you have that same feeling were you scared then and proud now, or what were some of those feelings?
I don't know how else to say it. That's very good. But I don't know that I was frightened, except that I hoped that it worked and that I choose the right things to do to make it work.
Did you ever come home in the evenings and have discussions with your husband of, not feeling enough, or maybe the fight was too big one day, or even in the face of finding housing or helping students find housing, was there ever a time that the fight just seemed too big?
I'm sure. I don't remember that we had any big explosions, but we decided, this is going to be tough, but somebody's got to do it. And it has to be done. And we can do this. And we decided what part I would play and what part he would play. And sometimes mine worked better than his. It just depends on the situation.
Sure.
But we struggled with that, and but we found good ways to do it.
Let's talk about Dr. Charles Morris. Tell me some of your fondest memories of him.
Well, he was very quiet, but very demanding in many ways. And he could sell you on an idea that you may not have had. But he was very serious about life and about giving to the world all kinds of gifts that would make the world a better place. And he did that. He did that a lot.
When you think about education, and I don't want to make it sound like it's just a black or a white children issue, but when you guys were getting into this, did you see a disparity in the education that white students versus students of color were getting here? Or did it matter?
Well, it mattered. And in fact, it mattered all along, because one of the things that my mother would say, they'd give, the kids, and my mother was a rural school teacher, but they'd give the used books from the white kids to the black kids. And she says, she finally said to the book distributor, how am I supposed to teach them to take care of books when the books that they get are already damaged so badly you can hardly use them? We're supposed to learn. She said, and she finally said, if I can't have new books for my students, I don't want any at all, because I can't teach them how to take care of books with the books that they get. And so that led to a change. And that's true of anybody. You don't give them dirty clothes to put on. You get them clean and put them on. So, don't get them too dirty. So
that matters.
That matters. That matters. And so she caused a big change in that they do. Don't bring me these books that I can't teach the kids how to take care of them because they're in such bad shape. Bring me new books, and I will preserve them the best I can. And she and all the teachers did.
What does it make you feel like, or what do you think, if I were to say you are Black history? What is that?
Well, who isn't? Who isn't? History is what you have done. It is not that you've done good. They're gonna remember you've done bad too. It's history, So who isn't? All of us are part of history.
Well, how do you feel if I say you have influenced history?
Who hasn't?
Touché.
Who hasn't? If I've been a positive influence, I'm happy.